Welcome to 2 hours of delicious conversation with Chef Jamie Gwen. Dish with celebrity chefs, cookbook authors, and food experts, and gain inspirational ideas. You'll learn kitchen wisdom, wine education, and culinary trends, and eat and drink like you've never done before. Food and Wine with Chef Jamie Gwen starts now.
Inspiring you to be a better cook. Welcome back. Chef Jamie Gwen along with Lana in your radio. This is where delicious conversation unites all of us. And if you're passionate about food and cooking, which we know you are because that's why you're a loyal listener, there is a new manual to learn from now available. The Cooking Lab, publisher of the encyclopedic 6-volume set Modernist Cuisine, became very quickly the definitive reference for this revolution. And now home cooks can really, I think, enthusiastically rejoice for the fact that you can learn some of these incredible techniques step by step, photo by photo. Modernist Cuisine at Home has just released, and joining us to highlight the virtues of this 456-page waterproof kitchen manual is Scott Heimendinger. He is the Director of Applied Research at the Cooking Lab, and we're glad to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
How many people worked on Modernist Cuisine at Home? If you missed that day of class,
he was giving the class.
I know, he was teaching the class. How many chefs and photographers and writers and researchers and designers and recipe testers, and if you have a job for tasters, I'm free, by the way, actually took part in this process, this project?
About 20 people, give or take, and depending how you count. We have our research chefs, who were really the people who deserve the majority of the credit for developing these incredible recipes and for testing lots of variations just among themselves inside our kitchen lab. But then we also had professional recipe testers to go take all of this stuff home, test out the recipes on home equipment in a home environment to make sure that they were all foolproof, easy to understand, and that would produce the same results there. Then we had our team of photographers, of editors, of writers, of fact checkers, of research assistants, all helping to bring this book to fruition.
It's really very, very amazing. Talk to us, if you would, about the science behind what it is you do, even for the basics.
Well, our goal always, regardless if we're making a hamburger or we're making some very elaborate, spherified soup dumpling dish, the goal is always to produce the most delicious food possible. And the way that we view that is that by having a fundamental understanding of the science of the forces that are taking place when your food cooks, that empowers you to be a better cook yourself.
Okay, so take us through how to make the ultimate hamburger. The photo on the cover of Modernist Cuisine at Home is the most incredible broken down image of all of the components of a really brilliant burger. And the cheese is melting so oozingly. I mean, you want to take a bite out of it. So how do you break it down to build a better burger?
We can start with the cheese. It's a weird place to start since it's kind of in the middle, but there's some neat science to the cheese. So one of our criteria is to have cheese that melts perfectly. So as you are well aware, it is a cosmic tragedy that really good cheeses don't melt very well.
That's true.
You heat them up and they break into an oily mess, and you end up with these solids that are prone to burning, and you end up with this oil floating on top, and it's not very much fun. But you know what cheese does melt really well? Velveeta.
I knew where you were going.
It turns out that the secret is an ingredient that we use called sodium citrate. Now, sodium citrate sounds like a bizarre sciencey thing, but it's actually quite common. That sodium citrate acts as an emulsifier in cheese. It helps keep the oil and the solids of that cheese emulsified together so that when you heat it up, it doesn't break. So our method of making this perfectly melting cheese is to start with a great cheese that we absolutely love, mix in a little liquid and some sodium citrate, heat it up, and you end up with this incredible cheese sauce that then you can cast into your own cheese slices or pour over nachos or use in cheese soups or however you want, and it doesn't break.
Okay, genius. Genius. Yeah. There is so much knowledge between these pages. I guarantee that every single page will teach you something destined to change the way we cook. I think this is really an incredible quantum leap. Step-by-step photos as the revolution continues in the art of cooking with the newly released Modernist Cuisine at Home. 456 pages with a waterproof spiral-bound kitchen manual that reprints all the recipes within as well. Scott, it's really a masterpiece. Congratulations to you, and thank you for sharing the best of new Modernist Cuisine at Home with us.
My pleasure.
As the delicious conversation continues, you learned it here first. There's more fabulous food in your radio. Don't go away. We're going to make you hungry for more every Sunday morning beginning at 8 a.m. 2 hours of delicious conversation and fabulous food in your radio. Chef Jamie Gwen along with Lana, along with Phil Lempert. We love when the supermarket guru, you know him from the Today Show and supermarketguru.com, stops by. He is our resident shopping expert, the leading food industry analyst whom we love, the journalist and trend watcher, and he is helping you shop smarter, eat healthier, and live better. And good morning to you, Phil. Glad to have you back on the radio.
Good morning to both of you, and so happy to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, let's kick off the conversation with some really interesting information you just compiled from a recent visit to the school nutritional annual meeting, right?
Absolutely. Just last week in Denver, about 8,000 school chefs, school dietitians, and directors of school programs convened, and bottom line is, with the new regulations that are coming out for school lunch this fall, everybody's really concerned how we're going to be able to pull this off. Now, there's a whole bunch of elements here. First, how do we make our foods healthier and really stick to these regulations, which means 100% whole wheat, whole grains, more fruits, more vegetables. Do it at about 96 cents per meal. 32 million kids are being fed by that school lunch program at that rate. And also, here's the most challenging, to be able to do it with foods that kids will actually eat.
I think that the greatest challenge, too, as you and I have spoken about off the air many times, is that 96 cent cost ratio has to include fresh ingredients. And there was a wonderful article in one of the recent supermarketguru.com newsletters from your registered dietitian who talked, Phil, about starting kids' cooking classes in the produce aisle. If we expose our children to the fresh fruits and vegetables, it will make them more willing to try out new flavors at the salad bar or to even consider something that might look different to them in the lunch line.
Jamie, you're 100% right. And here's the problem. In fact, we did, probably about 3 months ago, we went to 5 different cities throughout the country with the School Nutrition Association, and we actually taste tested different vegetables and fruits with the kids. And the bottom line is that kids really do like fruits and vegetables. They left that iceberg lettuce. They didn't want anything to do with that, but they ate broccoli that really tasted good broccoli. They tasted melons, not the cantaloupes and the honeydews that taste like styrofoam, but really flavorful ones. So the key is relatively simple. It's intense flavors and intense colors, and then the kids will eat them.
And what's the next step in the school program then? We can acclimate our kids to what really delicious food tastes like, but how do we implement that in the schools?
There's a lot of innovation going on. You know, my favorite product from the show came from Pepperidge Farm. Those little goldfish that typically they sell in bars and different snacks,
right,
or that they serve. Basically, they now have Pepperidge Farm goldfish bread, which is the size of a piece of sandwich
slice of bread.
It's 100% whole wheat, no high fructose corn syrup, and it's in the shape of a goldfish. And they've been testing it. It is brilliant.
That's
it is
fabulous.
tasty. I tasted it. This is the kind of thinking that we need.
I think that's really genius.
Idea.
If we use the tools that we have, the goldfish and the Cheerios and the snack flavors that we grew up with, as we elevate into these school lunch programs for even the older kids, if you can create a flavor profile that these kids can actually relate to. I think that you have a far greater success rate. Phil Lempert, Supermarket Guru. Go to supermarketguru.com, sign up for the daily updates, watch Food News Today. You will shop smarter, eat healthier, and live better. Phil, it's always a pleasure, and we thank you for sharing your passion.
Thank you both.
Welcome back. Chef Jamie Gwen along with Lana in your radio. There's nowhere else I'd rather be on a Sunday morning than dishing with this gentleman. He's one of America's growing restaurateurs with 6 ravishingly successful and delicious restaurants across the U.S. If you haven't been to DOCG Enoteca at the Cosmopolitan Las Vegas yet, oh, you are missing out. He's the Food Network's most talked about television host. Haven't you read Twitter? And he's a really good friend. Scott Conant is here once again to dish on his best fall pastas and where you can find him at the upcoming New York Wine and Food Festival. And we're always thrilled when you join us. Good morning, Chef.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
Yes, of course. I would be remiss if every time you come on the radio, I don't ask you to disclose another secret about crack spaghetti. You haven't changed the name on the menu yet, have you, Scott?
I haven't yet. I'm not sure how that would go over with you.
Everybody knows I adore you, and everyone knows that as much as I adore you, I adore scarpetta spaghetti just a little bit more. I do call it crack spaghetti. For those that know me, you know I've never tried crack, except for whatever is in this pasta makes me want to lick the bowl. So tell the truth, really. What is the secret? Once again, how do we make scarpetta spaghetti for fall?
You know what? It's a lot of little things done well. So
Yes.
it's not necessarily that there's a lot of butter. There's a little butter in there.
A little
There's
butter.
A little bit of Parmesan
Okay.
cheese. And there's a little bit of an infused extra virgin olive oil that I infuse with the flavors of basil and crushed red pepper and garlic. And I kind of treat that oil like a tea. And then I cook these fresh tomatoes that are peeled and seeded for about 40 minutes, just chopped with a potato masher.
Yeah, that's one of the secrets.
That's one of the secrets. It's all fresh tomatoes. If the tomatoes aren't great in the off months, in the winter months, I add a little bit of canned tomatoes to them then, just to stretch them along a little bit. But otherwise, it's all fresh tomatoes and that infused olive oil that I strain into the sauce itself. And then I cook it a la minute. We use a fresh pasta that we make in-house, semolina base. And it's really simple. Fresh basil, butter, Parmesan cheese, tossed in the pan together. And it's all about simplicity and extraction of flavor.
Scott, you spoke about this olive oil tea, essentially, right? The infusion of all the herbs for the scarpetta spaghetti. But what else can we do with that infused olive oil for our fall dishes?
Well, I'll tell you, that oil itself, if you just cool it down and use that to serve with bread instead of butter, it's a great thing.
We're coming into fall, and I thought it only appropriate to find out what you're cooking now and what we can put into our pasta dishes to make them Scott Conant inspired.
We could, I'd love to talk about that stuff.
Okay, good.
We are working right now in this rigatoni with butternut squash that's roasted with some pancetta inside of it. And just very simple, some sage and some Parmesan cheese. I happen to love all those great flavors of autumn. So why not incorporate it into the pasta?
Okay, so
But I'm
tell
glad to
everyone
hear
who
that.
hasn't been there, Scott, about DOCG Enoteca. I wrote a recent article for Riviera Magazine. The National has run the piece, and it's about all the best restaurants at the Cosmopolitan Las Vegas. And one of the things we loved is that you're sitting in a restaurant atmosphere, like the feel of an Enoteca, of an Italian brasserie, essentially. And you don't hear the bells and whistles of the casino, and you feel like you're in an incredible restaurant environment. And then the food comes, and you're just truly amazed.
DOCG is, if you don't know what it means, Denominazione Origine Controllata Garantita, which is essentially the very best products are given that stamp of appreciation of just goodness.
A certification of sorts by the Italian government that puts its stamp of approval on the best of the best.
If scarpetta is a balance of rusticity and alto cucina, that high-end Italian kitchen, then DOCG is really intended to be just the rustic element. So there's a little bit of Southern Italian play to it, but also some Tuscan feel inside the food as well.
Yes.
And I think it's really that balance that resonates with people.
That fonduta, by the way, the melting cheese in the hot crock with the grilled bread. And then, as if you couldn't gild the lily anymore, there's this soft poached duck egg over it. that you mix in that I wanted to rub on my arms.
We're leaving right now.
It was like the equivalent of culinary porn.
You're right. There's just something about taking that bread and dipping it in that egg and getting that cheese sauce.
God.
There's a little bit of a truffle essence inside of it as well. So
Okay, enough.
It is. It's
Enough.
sexual.
Enough. There's a new baby on the way in the Conant family, and you never know what might happen when you start talking about fondue once again. We look forward to seeing you again. The New York City Wine and Food Festival, presented by Food and Wine, is coming up. Eat, Drink, End Hunger. 100% of the net proceeds from the festival go directly to community-based programs. NYCWineandFoodFestival.com will get you tickets to this great big event and an opportunity to meet Chef Scott Conant. I'm proud to call you my friend. I think you are an incredible talent, Scott, and wherever you go and cook, we will be there.
The feelings are mutual.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations on the baby.
Yes.
Very soon.
We do have the best culinary thinkers on this show. He is Chef Scott Conant. I'm Chef Jamie Gwen signing off. Until next Sunday, I hope you continue to eat well.